Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending folks. This is Man Always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, it's Olympia weekend. Woo! Oh, one of the biggest shows in the sport of bodybuilding. Maybe you people who are not bodybuilding fans, it may not mean much to you, but us fans who are fans of sport, it does. I am going to watch the Olympia. It was a pretty penny. But like I said, it's not like I got a car to take care of anymore. But anyway, I'm going to watch a real critique of it. I am going to support. As you know, I'm a fan of one of the greatest women. She's going to go for Miss Olympia title number 5, and that is the lovely, the beautiful, the amazing, the queen herself. My woman, your woman, well, my woman, the lovely Miss Andrea Shaw. Shout out to Andrea. You know, I am a fan. I'm always going to be a fan. Win or lose, I am going to support her. So, you know, but I think she's most definitely is going to get number 5. Number 5. It's going to be 5 times. You know, like Booker T, 5 times. So, hey, folks, we'll have a while back, we will have a topic. Originally, the plan was about talking about up-and-comers coming to the sport, you know, but we kind of diverted into more to how the physique division has changed. We've done this before in a way, but still, we're going to talk about this a lot more because there was a video that was put out some time ago. Shout out to my man, Big Keith. He told me about this video. And it was a discussion between Fit Rock Star and Bob Ciccarello, or I call him Bobby Chick. And they talked about how, the division states, you know, he's the guy who says that he introduced women's physique to the IFBB, but also there's stories that also another lady, Betty Priso. But we're going to talk about how divisions change because of the champions at the time. So we have here, first out here, we have my man, you know, Jeremy, formerly AKA one Mr. Female Bodybuilder or Feminine Physique fan now. So welcome, brother.
Hey, how's it going, George?
And next up we have my big brother. As you know, it's been 2 weeks off from doing the Legion Pro. His return to bodybuilding. My man, your man. I'm not picking on anymore. I'm not jealous anymore because he's my brother. I love him. This is my man, Mr. Big Keith Williams.
What up? What up?
You know, the last episode, we're not going to do the thing anymore, folks, because I'm proud of my brother. He did great. He looked great. He looked amazing. And, my heart goes out to him. So I'm not going to pick it anymore unless it comes to another girl, But we're going to So, fellas, as we were talking about the other week about how it seems like the physique division. Hello, this is Lori Tina. She was just there. That's right. We talk about how the physique division has changed. And I think it's changed because of the champions that's been in the division the last 10 years. You know, first person you talk about is Daly Bailey. She was the first physique champion for women's body for the division. Then Julia McCartney, and then after that, Shanique Grant. And now you have the current champion, Sarah. Now you got Natalia, but with Sarah, she has the most wins. You know, she's just a win shy of Julia's record. So you think because of those women, the division has evolved from a particular look and size? Hello?
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely evolved. It's just, I mean, the women are a whole hell of a lot larger than they were when they started the division. But it's like the question is like, is this the direction that they want it to go, or that people are wanting it to go? Especially with the level of conditioning that they have. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. That debate is coming back again. Because what was it like six,
Well,
7 years ago? People were critiquing that, were critiquing physique as well because of the look, because they were saying it was becoming an over-conditioned look. There was a series that Muscular Development put out called Chick Chat, and it was hosted by a
well,
now
well.
retired
Here's the problem.
competitor.
Here's the problem. Well, here lies the problem. When you start getting to that line that we don't understand what women's physique is and what women's bodybuilding is, and I know there's debate like, oh, they're bigger and da 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 da, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, what I've seen in the last 3 years with women's physique is they may be smaller, but they're just as conditioned. And, you know, when you have condition, it shows muscle as well. And when you, like, I always use the prime example what George told me last year's Portugal show. And when you look at Chelsea and you look at the girl in women's physique, when you can't tell a difference, there's a problem. Because then you shouldn't have women's physique. If you guys really listen to what Isabel and Bob Chigarillo was saying and why they wanted to introduce women's physique, it has nothing to do with what's actually going on right now. And again, it's, you know, you can even say, you know, women's figure, you know, slide over to the women's physique, you know, builds and etc. You know, it's like at the end of the day, like Bob said and like Isabel said on that uh, video that they did, it's a judge's job to make sure that these girls understand what is what, and they're not doing that. That's why these girls are chasing that. I mean, here's the thing: are you gonna chase after? Are you gonna chase after a girl who's behind Sarah? Or are you gonna chase after Sarah's look because that's the girl you got to beat? I'm going to
Right.
chase after Sarah's look because that's what I got to beat. If I don't beat that, I'm not going to beat the champion. So no matter what people say, in Italia did the
Hello?
same thing. No matter what you say, because they're the champions. Until the judges sit there and say, okay, this is not what we want, and then they put them in like, you know, third, fourth, or fifth, or whatever the case may be, it's going to stay the same. It's not going to change. And and
Yeah.
the judges are not doing their job.
Because Katia supposed to be physique supposed to look a certain way,
And so
totally
you
different
got
from women's bodybuilding.
etc.
You know, and the thing is, physique is supposed to be a totally different look from women's bodybuilding. But when you get to that closer, when you're like, you look at Natalia, Cuejo, you look at her, how she's looking almost at the level of maybe, I would say, early Iris Kyle, or even to where she's not too far for someone like, um, you know, Angela Yo, you know, and you know she did win in 2022, but then she lost the title back because Sarah, what she did was she took a step back and she said, you know what, I made a mistake. Let me fix what I made and come back just as I was before, you know. So she made the
Yep.
adjustments. She won the title again. So if the judges felt like Natalia was the level they wanted, they should have given the title to Natalia, but they get it back to Sarah.
Yeah, it's just like Keith is
Again, at
saying
the end of
though.
the day, what these girls are doing,
Sorry,
What
go
you
go
ahead.
say?
ahead.
Wait, what was I say? All right.
Well, I was just going to
Well,
say, yeah, it's just the problem is you've got the higher ups coming out with these memos and these rules trying to take care of that, but the judges aren't following through with it. I mean, back in 2015, the IFBB came out with a memo saying, again, all the women's divisions are getting too big, they're getting too muscular, but this time they decided to reinstitute the 20% rule only with 10 to 15%. Because at the same time they came out with that memo, Jim Mannion and Sandy came out with a video, the video where they were announcing the classic physique division. And in that video, halfway through, she says, okay, well, the women are getting bigger. We want to see a 10 to 15% reduction in muscularity. And I'm looking at that. It's like, you tried this already with the 20% rule. Complete disaster. Why? The judges didn't fall through with it. And here we are in
Because
2024. We have the exact same problem.
because the judges, and like Jeremy said, the problem is the judges are not being held accountable. It's just like
Right.
the Legion show, that I just got competed in. You had 2 guys in the first call out. If it's Olympia qualifier, there should be no less than 5. But you had 2 guys. And so as a person who's watching, or a person who knows sport, goes, was this already premeditated? Again, if you're sending out the memo, who's getting the fucking memo? Clearly it's not the judges who are judging the show. I remember when I used to judge Chris Bongiovanni shows in Minnesota. And we would all sit in the room when women's physique first came out and stuff like that. And we're like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be judging on. And we're like, okay, bikini, wellness wasn't out yet, but we're like, this is what we're looking for in these divisions. When you have a bunch of judges, I don't know how they meet at the national or pro level, sitting at a table, and Tina can tell you, she's seen 2 judges at her last show arguing and fighting about, something similar, and we don't know what, because, we're being presumptuous, but I'm sure it's about the agreement upon placing and who should have been where in the look. That's the problem, because at the end of the day, Jim Mannion, if it's Jack, it's Billy, if it's, Steve, if it's Mannion Jr., it all should be a situation where they're all sitting their asses down saying, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what the classes need to be. And if they don't do it, here's a prime example. Remember the year Iris came into the Arnold Classic and had those hematomas in her ass, and they put her in 6 weights because she had dots on her ass. Clearly they were from injection, so they put her in 6 weights. So they do have the power to do what they want to do. It all depends when they want to do it and which shows that they choose to do it at.
Yeah, I was at that show. I was at that Miss International where that happened. And that kind of blew, because she didn't come out in the finals.
Nope.
She was not there. It's like all the other fans around me were like, what the hell? Yeah. Iris is not in the finals? And then we were trying to figure that out, but then it's like people were saying, look at the stage picks from prejudging, and it's like, yep, sure enough.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
we have
they did that, but that tells you how much control, and they've always had the control of the judges, that, or Mannion or Steve or Sandy or Junior, had the control of dictating what they want and what they don't want.
We have here a comment from a man, Money J. Shout out to Money J. He says, Sadie Williamson initially said no striated ripped glutes in women's physique, just like you said, Keith. Yep. Also,
the video.
He said, Also, he said, because remember, he sent me that video a while back. Also, says judges are inconsistent with their judging criteria. Because I remember I was talking to Tina. She looked great. Honestly, Tina, you look great. But she said that she do better if she does a show on the East Coast than the West. You remember she mentioned that in the last few we had right before the Legion.
And why should that matter though? But why should that matter?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't be East Coast, West Coast, South. It didn't matter. Everybody should be getting the same standard.
Yeah, but in my interview with Yvonne Pendleton, who won at the Legion, she lives in Florida. Now I asked her why not do, because the same weekend was the Daytona show, and I asked her why not you just do the Daytona show? You don't have to fly all the way to Reno. She said because the judges in Florida look for a particular look.
Well,
You know, and surprisingly, the woman who won that show, Eleanor Romero, she's just crazy shredded. She's at the level where she could have done, possibly she didn't. Well, she took, I think, fourth at Tampa, and she was third at Tupelo. And I remember somebody saying that she was kind of disappointed because she thought she could do better at one of these shows. But you remember at Tampa, you had Zama Benta, and and no offense to Judy Feldman, she wasn't as conditioned like she usually is. She was a little bit off at that show. It was a gimme for giving her second place. Here, this
And
is
they'll
from.
sorry, go ahead.
This is from Money J says, Sal Vegas, Attack Quail, and Zama Benta all have specific looks which they deemed the norm because the judges rewarded Zama, awarded it. Zama has almost a borderline bodybuilder back. It's ridiculous because she did compete in bodybuilding for a minute. And also, shout out to Money Man says, when it comes to rewarding women's physique category in terms of judging, it's like pro wrestling. They book their personal favorite and athlete subjectively. And one more just from a man, Money J. This is you, Tina. Says, Tina, just wanted to say you looked amazing at the Titans Pro Show. Your best look yet. Shout out to a man, Money J. That's just for you, Tina. And, she looked great. Yeah. And we keep saying how the judges do have a lot of control. They know who they want. They know who's, if they see, remember, like I said, I've seen shows where girls, I'm questioning that this girl, she doesn't look like she was the best condition. Like I mentioned with Tina at the Titan, Gabby Pena, Gabby Vega, who I know pretty cool lady. She just didn't look as in her best condition compared to when she was at the Triple O. She looked like she was retaining water. Her glutes were. She posted some pictures. I saw the pictures too. Her glutes look like it's not as shredded as they were before. I think she's too high for fifth. For third. She should have got maybe fourth or fifth. Tina should have got a little bit higher, either win or got second. But Hunter, she's younger. I think they would go with her. That was the look they wanted to go with. And as you mentioned, there was argument at the judges table. Yeah. So this tells you that if there's a dispute between the judges and the show promoter, who somebody's place, you either get a judge in there that's a little bit less biased to a certain competitor, then it makes more sense. It's just
it's just like did either of you guys watch the video with Bob and Isabel? Did you guys watch that?
I have yet to see it. I've got it bookmarked, but I have yet to see it.
Bob said they should have a sheet. Remember, George? He said they should have a sheet to check these boxes so these athletes, it's like he said in that video, George, and I don't know if you've seen it too. He says conditioning should be the last thing. Should be the last thing they should be judging on. The very last thing.
What I did is I found that, and we will play the other time, but it took so long, so I already geared it up to a certain point. So I'm gonna pull it up, and we're gonna watch this video, and we're gonna give our thoughts and impressions of what they're saying, because this is between Isabel Terrell, aka Fit Rockstar, Bob Ciccarello, aka Bobby Chick. I like to call him Bobby Chick because it sounds really cool. It's like he should be a gangster, Bobby Chick. She be with Tony and his crew on The Sopranos. So we're gonna pull it up here as it talks.
Have you here? I know you've done a lot of things for the sports, and I wanted to talk to you about a topic I'm sure you saw on the female bodybuilding channel about women's physique and how one competitor, a pro who competed for a while, turned pro 10 years ago, she said that women's physique has now gotten unhealthy. It's a lot of drugs and all this kind of stuff, and the conditioning is too much. For me, I love women's physique, and I think that the conditioning is very beautiful. It's very feminine. I love the glam to it. And she also said that a lot of women don't want to compete in it anymore, which I think is complete garbage in my opinion. But I didn't agree with what she said about the drugs being a big deal with women's physique. And then, of course, saying that it's an unhealthy sport, or women's physique has gotten unhealthy. And I wanted to talk to you because not a lot of people know this, but you're the guy who actually brought and created women's physique. So who better than to ask and talk about this than you?
Okay. So is there a question in there, or is that?
Well, the question is, what's the issue with women's physique? Why are we not seeing a lot of competitors? You know, this girl was going on saying that the conditioning is way too much, and I want to know your thoughts. Why
Well,
did you start
see,
women's physique to begin with?
when did it start? Oh, she's got to
Why?
be.
Why did you bring it? Why did
Oh,
you bring
why?
it?
Well,
Why?
women's bodybuilding was all but dead at that time, and it was only because I felt like the criteria wasn't correct, and I, came up with something that I thought was an answer to it, which was to rediscover it, reinvent it, call it women's physique instead of women's bodybuilding. I think it gets a bad connotation just because you put those words together, and that's just always been the way it is. And started women's physique, and I thought it was successful. And the criteria is what makes it what it is, or what's supposed to make it what it is. But the criteria really isn't being followed as best as it should be, which I think is part of the problem. That girl, whoever wrote that, is not completely wrong. I'd like to see the
I think
criteria.
she's well. Listen, I think she's wrong about saying that the women's physique has gotten really unhealthy. I think she's wrong in saying that women's physique is all about drugs. You know, I mean, listen, it's everything is a choice. Nobody forces you to compete in women's physique or bodybuilding. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
beautiful women out there.
well, that's very disingenuous. I mean, listen, there's drugs in every sport, in every corner of this earth, so that's irrelevant. What people choose to do, they're adults. They can make their own choices to that. What we deal with is an appearance. We are in a sport of appearance. That's what it's all about. If you're in the track, it's about time. If you're into whatever other sports, it's about the score. It's different things, right? We're in a sport of appearance. Nobody cares how you get there. Nobody cares what you do to have to get there. The judges are there to do a job, and that is to assess a physique and a certain look that's supposed to define a certain division. And that set forth criteria should be followed as close as you can. And then whoever looks closest to that defined criteria should win. Seems simple on paper. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables in that. But the bottom line is there is written criteria of women's physique, which over the years has gotten a little extreme, in my opinion, and now it more closely resembles female bodybuilding.
What is the criteria? Since you wrote the rules for that, correct? You wrote everything out for women's physique, right?
That's correct. I even put in there things to words to avoid, which
Can you tell
doesn't really
us?
seem to appear in any other criteria. But I thought it was important to really put a stamp on what we are and what we're not looking for.
Okay.
It should be a watered down version of women's bodybuilding without the extremes. If it's followed to that context, then I think it's a very successful division. If it's not, then it turns into women's bodybuilding. And we all know women's bodybuilding has had its struggles over the years because it's not a generally accepted look that most women want to look like. That's just the way it is.
Agreed. So, with women's physique, I mean, do you think it's unhealthy? Do you think, I mean, from what you see, you obviously go to a lot of shows, you MC a lot of shows. I mean, what do you think of women's physique right now and where it's at?
I mean, it's no more unhealthy than any other division. Bodybuilding in its inherency is not the most healthiest sport you can be in. Anything that deals with extremes is not healthy. Now, it's for a short duration. It's for a look that's achieved on stage. People don't walk around at 5% body fat the majority of the time that they're kicking around or training. So, but that's any sport. Any sport's extreme at that level. So I think that's a little unfair to say that women's physique is unhealthy. I mean, they're all unhealthy if you want to look at it from that standpoint.
You know, some women were talking about how they would like to see it go back to the old days. You know, Julia won and Dana Lynn. What do you think of that? We can't go back, obviously.
Well, Juliana was a great champion. I mean, she was. Now, keep in mind, Juliana started out as a figure competitor, if I'm not mistaken, and quickly found a home that she dominated for some years in women's physique, and she was perfect for that division. Not too big, not too small. Had some muscle, wasn't ripped to the bone, and that pretty much encapsulated what women's physique was supposed to be. The further away you get from that, the less popular it's going to be. Women's bodybuilding, unfortunately, is not accepted, is not celebrated by a lot of women. They just don't want to look that extreme.
No.
Then you get into women's physique, and even that's become extreme, to a smaller degree, but it's still not a look that most women, want to look like. Then you get into figure. Well, figure has become women's physique, and that has become extreme. So really, when you get down to it, there is a reason that the bikini division is the most popular division. And I can guarantee you, if hypothetically we put in a bikini beach division tomorrow, that would be more popular than the current bikini division.
Right. Somebody said you probably don't want to suffer and diet to get into conditioning. What do you think of that?
Well, do they suffer as much as we did years ago? No, I don't think so. The competition has been watered down over the years. It's not nearly as competitive or as deep. The fields aren't as deep as they were, let's say, back in the 90s and early 2000s. So there's a multitude of reasons behind that. But the bottom line is I don't know if that should be celebrated. I don't know if the most extreme physique is the best one. Again, as criteria, and we always talk about checking the boxes, okay? Symmetry, proportion, shape, size. Those should all be at the forefront of any division. I don't care what it is, from bikini to men's open bodybuilding. Those are the fundamentals that should be followed and should be given more weight, so to say, in terms of the scoring. Then you get into muscularity, separation, and then finally conditioning. Listen, you can't be fat out there, what we consider fat in the industry, is we're very critical, obviously, being bodybuilding fans. But you also have to be, you don't have to be sliced and diced, ripped to the bone, grainy, any of those things. That doesn't necessarily make a better physique. It may in some cases, but it may not in others.
But in women's physique, I mean, let's be real, they're more ripped than women's bodybuilding, right?
Well, again, this is a problem. They're not supposed to be ripped. If you go look at the criteria, which was written, I actually put in language in there to deter such a physique from winning. And unfortunately, it's kind of evolved, if you want to use that word, to that. And it's very difficult because it's hard to not reward somebody when they've done the homework, when they put their time in, and they display a very ripped up. You can tell they dieted. You can tell they went to extremes and all that. But again, listen, I can appreciate all that. I can appreciate the fact that somebody worked very hard. But that's not the business we're in. We're in the business of choosing the best physique that best fits the criteria set forth for that particular division. Too much emphasis, in my opinion, over the years has been placed on conditioning, and that's because it's an easy default. The guy with the best conditioning wins. The girl with the best conditioning wins. That's not what bodybuilding started out to be, and it's not what it should be now.
Yeah, so when you look at somebody like Sarah Villegas and Natalia Calejo, are they extreme in your opinion?
Yes, they're both.
Really?
And while I love both of them dearly, and Natalia in particular, because I knew her as a kid, and I actually I highly suggested she actually switch into the women's physique division. But there is a fine line there, and again, it can't turn into a ripped competition when the criteria set forth does not call for being ripped. And this is why you've got declining numbers in everything except bikini and wellness. And there's a reason behind that. Again, if you look at the scale, if you look at the entries, if you look at from the local level all the way up to the national level, it's no secret that the biggest numbers are in the lesser muscularity divisions, and which of course is everything up into women's bodybuilding. From bikini to women's bodybuilding, the numbers just completely go down to almost nothing.
So obviously we've seen a lot of declining numbers so far with the women's physique. Why do you think that is? And is there anything we can do to bring those numbers back up? I mean, in my opinion, for me, I think like the girls are waiting for later, like in the summertime, to diet down. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that, but what can we do to get these numbers up? Is there anything we can do?
Well, you have to make divisions that are attainable, and that more importantly have an interest. Women have to have an interest in order to compete. If they don't like what they see, they're not going to go there. It's that simple. It's not a look that they want to look like. So again, I'm not saying that everything. Listen, we are in a world of physiques. That's what we do, and I get that. But again, you have to pull back from the extreme. That can't be rewarded better over and above a physique that is just genetically superior. If you've got a tiny waist, wide shoulders, flaring thighs, symmetry, proportion, shape, all of that should take precedence over being, quote, more ripped.
Correct.
And the closer that the judging can get to that, personally speaking, again, we've all got our opinions. I would take a good hard look at the judging process, the format, and I might suggest, we talk about, I've talked for years about checking boxes. Well, maybe we should actually check boxes. Maybe there should be a box for symmetry, proportion, shape, size, muscularity, definition, posing or presentation, depending on whatever you're in. And all those boxes should be checked. If you look at other sports, they will get deducted points for not doing certain things or not having certain things. Maybe that's something that we should look at as well, because right now what we have is a placement system, which has been put in for some time now, which generally speaking gets the job done, but it's not very specific. And then you've got to get, feedback from judges on, what do I need to do? What do you think I need to change? So again, just a suggestion, but maybe that's something we could look at in the future as a whole, as a federation of, okay, can we get a little bit more specific on the judging process and quote checking those boxes? And this way you can still use the placement system, but I would use it across the board. And let's just say 6 different boxes that you check, and you would still get a placement, like let's say in the symmetry round. And then in the next round, on the muscularity round, and a posing and presentation round, that type of thing. And then you can actually look at what was the problem. Why did I lose to this guy? Why did I win over somebody?
Yeah, so I actually like that idea. And why do you think everybody has their method, but why has that been brought up now? I mean, we really could use that, obviously.
Well, I think, we assess, along the way. When I say we, I'm talking about the IFBB Pro League. And these are things that, again, we bring to the table, when they seem like they need to be brought to the table. And the Pro League, especially Jim Mannion, we go back many, many years now, Tyler Mannion, who's our vice president, they're very open to suggestion. They're very open.
Right.
We've made plenty of changes over the years. Nothing has stayed the same since its inception. And we've danced around different judging criteria. I'm a student of the game. I have looked at, more magazines than probably anybody on this earth when it comes to bodybuilding, from the early days on till now. And there has been different judging systems that we have tried. You're always trying to look for the best system, the most efficient system, something that works, something that's easy to administer, but also gets the job done and rewards. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're looking for the best physique on stage.
So somebody has a question here. Do you think different judges' feedback from different shows and placings are moving the goalpost and causing frustration?
Well, again, you've got, if you go ask 7 different judges a question, you may get 3 or 4 different answers out of those 7. Most of the basics will be observed. If you're a judge worth your weight, you're going to know if somebody's blocky, if they don't have the smallest waist, or they were smooth, or they need arms, or, things like that. But then you just get into an opinion, and that's really what this is based on, is somebody's opinion, and everybody's opinion varies. Listen, if you're a judge and you're, let's just say, a super heavyweight, you may have an affinity towards the bigger bodybuilders. If you're a smaller guy, or your whole physique and your career was based on aesthetics, you may have a tendency to go that way. At the end of the day, it's a collection of opinions that get put into the tumbler, and the highs and lows are thrown out to ensure that there's no impropriety going on. And then you get a collective, and that's what you get, is the collective score based on these 7, 9, 11 judges, depends on the show, of course, as to how many there are. And that's how you get to a general consensus. But yes, you are going to get different opinions. That's why I wouldn't mind seeing it broken down a little bit more and a little bit more specific, to give the judges a little bit tighter window to put a score into. And then that will, in effect, tell the deal of, okay, why did you score this way? Why did you give this guy a 5 instead of a 1? What made these other 4 guys better? That type of thing.
Going back to what this girl had said, again, I get what you're saying, and I respect your opinions, obviously. But to me, she just sounds really bitter. I mean, obviously, if you can't take the heat with the conditioning and all that stuff, then don't compete. And again, I mean, some of these people, listen, it's not about the drugs. And I hate when people have to throw in it's drugs, drugs, drugs. Listen,
That's a cop
it's
out.
not.
So,
It is a cop out. But also, too, I hate to say this, and I don't want to sound, bad when I'm saying this, but I'm going to be honest. Some of these people who are saying the things they're saying will never amount to even getting I hate to say it, a placing, and they're just being, again, I'm just saying bitter. But
too much
again,
too much credit's given to drugs over the years. We all
Anyway, it's a very long discussion. So, and we just enough of it so to get your thoughts and point of view of it. But they did put a good point about the whole thing about drugs. Now, this goes back to a person I interviewed a while back, and that is Jamie Pinder. Now, Jamie was a physique competitor. This is put a picture right here right now. You recognize Jamie. She competed round about when physique started. I think she grew to figure, and then she went to I think like 2 or 3 Olympics before she quit. I think around about 2014, 2015. And she made comments, and I remember someone sent me. She has a YouTube channel called I think it was Click Clean something like that, And someone sent me the link and said, "George, check this out." Somebody's popped in. My man KL the Wanderer. Shout out to him. He just popped in. Welcome, brother. Thank you for coming through.
Right. Right. What's
All
going
right.
on, everybody?
All right. But anyway, Jamie was making comments, especially when it was return of women's bodybuilding. And I think that's who they're talking about. They didn't say the girl's name, but hey, Jamie, she had a YouTube channel, but she hadn't been too active a while back. I heard she had some surgery, something like that. But there was always that accusation about drugs. And, Keith, you've been in the game as long as you have. And you told me quite a few times that drugs don't make you a better bodybuilder. It's just one of the things that help you in the
No,
process.
exactly. And that's the fallacy of this thing. Here's the thing. I told somebody at the gym, I said, if that was the precursor of how we are successful, then fuck, whoever invented this shit would be a billionaire. But that's not the way this works. And like, whoever that person is saying that, they are bitter. And it's, again, I know a lot of people who have used gear and they look nothing like me at the end of the day. Because it's like Chris Bumstead said it best. I go to a gym and watch a lot of guys take a lot more stuff than I do, and they don't look like me because there's a lot more elements to diet, a lot more elements to training, a lot more elements to everything that we do besides taking a pill or sticking yourself with a fucking needle. At the end of the day, it's a science. So the people who say that are ignorant for saying that because it's like I had a kid today ask me, a client of mine. He says, you know, do you get more angry when you're on gear? There is absolutely no scientific fact about that whatsoever. If you listen to Chris Bell say on Bigger, Stronger, Faster, if you were an asshole, you became a bigger asshole mentally because you were taking something, but it had to do with your mental capacity. It has nothing to do with what you take. And I know we got the bad rap from Lao Zato and all that bullshit, but there's actually no scientific evidence that proves that. If that was the case, why do they give AIDS victims and give kids with dwarfism and things like that growth hormones and steroids? They do it for a reason. Why do we give men who testosterone levels that are dropping testosterone shots? Because in essence, they need these things in order to bring their energy levels up, et cetera, et cetera. So the ignorant people out there to say it's all about drugs, it's absolutely wrong. Now, there are some people who abuse this situation and there are some people who don't. And we've had a couple of people this year who dropped out of Olympia and for various reasons because they felt they weren't healthy. But I'm sure part of that was because when you do stuff like that, you push your body very hard from the diet standpoint, from the gear standpoint, and everything else. So there's a lot of things that goes into this than just taking a pill or sticking yourself with a needle or whatever the case may be. I mean, it could be her training, it could be her posing, it could be more things that's holding her back, like Isabel said, than just that. Do I agree with what Bob's saying when Julia and Daniel and Bailey were champions? Absolutely, because that was what women's physique was supposed to look like. And again, at the end of the day, as we're having this discussion, it basically boils down to judges. What are you doing? You're going right back to the days of women's bodybuilding when Iris and Chris Jashevsky and all these girls were going to the extreme to look crazy, and people, didn't like, and people didn't like that look, and that's why Bob said they got rid of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
we have a comment. Yeah, sorry. We have a comment here, and that's from my man. Oh, this is our guy. We have him here, my man. Balls deep in the house, Schmo gang. Gang. So shout out to Balls Deep. Thank you for coming through, brother. Also, we have here, this is from Mason Thurman. And he said this, he says, so Bob basically admits that they don't care about competitors' health. He's laughing out loud. Well, I don't say they don't care, but they don't put as much investment like they should, Also, this is from
and that's not right, because hold on, that's not right, because he's the one who said
the one that doesn't like the
he he's the one who doesn't like the extreme.
So he's the one that actually cares more than the judges do.
So he's the one who actually cares more than the judges do. That's why he wanted to change women's physique from women's bodybuilding for that very reason.
That's a wrong statement.
So that's a wrong statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is from my man. Money J says, unfortunately, the bikini division category and wellness divisions are become more fundamentally more popular than ever. Figure, women's physique, and fitness. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you look at now, you get more attention, and they also get sponsorship because Wolfpack put up like $4,000 the last couple of shows for first place of prize money, while some of the other divisions like women's physique, figure, and others maybe got $2,000 or $3,000, sometimes even less.
Well, why is that though? Because it's a more obtainable look than a basic look than what you have to go through as a figure, as a women's physique competitor these days, and as a women bodybuilder. And I hate to say this, but I call it, I've heard somebody say it's a basic bitch category, where it is. It's like, that's why I'm pissed off that when I do a show and I have to wait 5 hours to go on stage because you got wellness and bikini in front of bodybuilding, when we understand, that's why it should be a priority. Here's the thing: when I'm on fucking stage and I get 60 seconds, but these girls go on stage and they get fucking 2 or 3 minutes to slowly walk, turn around, show their ass, that pisses me off. Seriously.
Calm down, big
There's
brother.
no science behind that shit.
Yeah. Calm down, big fella. Take a deep breath.
The last show I was at, RP judging started at 9:30. We didn't go on stage for 5 hours. 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't make
Does
sense.
that make sense?
Many bikini competitors are there.
Too many. I just
No, I was asking her how many bikini. No, I was saying I wanted to ask her how many bikini.
It was just too many, he said.
But here you go, Kay. I'll give you some. I'll drop some knowledge on you real quick for this Olympia coming up, because I sent this to George, and I don't know, George, if you still have the list that I sent you about how many competitors. So this year at the Olympia, there are 55 bikini competitors, 27 figure, 37 wellness, 15 women's bodybuilders, 63 men's physique competitors, 63 men's classic physique, 19 212s, 19 open bodybuilders, and 19 women physique competitors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the list. Yeah, it's because he didn't push, because I know with me less than 19, because I know one physique competitor is not competing because those guys visited. I think it's 18 to 17 now, and then it would have been at least 16 if Nadia Capasolo didn't do the Europa show, and it would have been if Anastasia Levanova had competed, but she's not competing, so it's like 14 to 18, and then with the others, that's too much. But the problem is, it's the promoters. They're the ones who putting on the show. You got shows where you have just only men's classic, or just only bikini, or just only men's, or men's physique, or just wellness, while the others don't have, other than maybe truthfully the Rising Phoenix is the only show where women's bodybuilding stand alone. Arizona Pro, that's a separate show, that's the other divisions. But when you have promoters who put up shows but don't add any other divisions to it, We also don't have that 1 or 2 divisions to it, and it's just it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we got a comment. Yeah, here we got a comment from a man, Money J. And he said this. He says, "We wouldn't have this conversation among us if Shanique Grant won back in 2020 instead of Sarah Vigors." And that's the point. Yeah, we wouldn't have, because I think Shanique had the look that was more, aesthetically pleasing. Great look, femininity wise, great built. I mean, she was like some of the other girls. She was a figure competitor, but later she's made the switch to women's physique, and she did well. She won 2 titles, and then they switched from her to Sarah, and Sarah's a particular look where she's like more. I think if you look at her, I think you would say she's more closer to maybe when Linda Murray was competing. Her definition is just her body is just built a certain way. I mean, this is earlier in when she was competed at the Olympia. She was even, I think she never cracked the top 10 until a couple of years later, and then in 2020 she was in the top 5, and then next she wins the show. And her look, like I said, wasn't a big fan of hers. I thought, if it was going with someone that was more aesthetically pleasing, more feminine looking, you go with Shanique, because you look right here. Like,
Put that up, boy. Marty.
Yeah, and right here you have somebody. You look at someone like Evie Rain, where she looks like she could win bodybuilding. Her lats are more developed. You look at Barbara Majan. You look at Shanique. You look at even Natalia at that time. Natalia wasn't as big as she was then. They was pushing for her to win that year, but everybody went with Shanique, and then Sarah just came out of nowhere. And if you look how it's evolved from when you had Daly Bailey and Julia McCartney, how these women were a different look. They look more like, if you look at them now, they look more like figure competitors today than the physique women back then. I mean, it's steadily evolving and changing. And Julia, she had a very more, I think, with her look, she's very feminine, very attractive. You would think that they would want to keep someone just like that, because she stepped away because she wanted to have a family and she got married, and she wanted to have a kid. But it's just the criteria is each and every year, depending who's a champion, the criteria keeps changing.
Yep, I agree. And again, that is defined and dictated by the judges.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. You can control whatever you want, but they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the judges know the guidelines. They should stick to the guidelines, but they just it's switching up every so often. This is for a man. Shout out to my man. Money J again says, "When WPD wouldn't have become." Oh, I think I already posted that one. This is another one. He says, I'm thinking because of Sarah Vigors' connection with the higher ups like Jim Mannion, Tyler, to ensure her victory since 2020. It's not a far-fetched theory to some people if you think on it. Possibly because I think Warrior often mentioned that, because she does a lot more stuff. This is from Limbo, whatever the name is. I'm gonna say 2. Shanique's physique was extreme too, though. I remember Dana Lynn and Julia McCarthy complaining about how much more muscular she was. Yeah, but the thing is, if you're going to complain about Shanique, they should, especially Julia. She played a part in this.
Dana Lynn get out of this work because she didn't want to do all the fucking drugs.
Mm-hmm. And also, Julia played a part in it too because she had a look that was attainable.
She didn't want to a lot of girls didn't want.
Go ahead. What happened?
What'd you say?
What? Go ahead, because you dropped
Again,
out.
Dana said, I mean, when she became the first champion, she said, I am not willing to change. And guess what? Her net worth is worth more not competing now than it is competing.
Mm-hmm.
But she
Yeah.
dictated her own rules, and that's what you have to respect about girls like her.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, she was the first champion, and that's was every, like a lot of ladies who do interviews, especially what interview physique competitor. That's the one person that said they measure who they wanted to be when they got into the sport. But like I said, the sport has evolved. There's some women who are at some levels just truly they look more. Like I said again, they're looking to a little bit more towards women's bodybuilding than physique. And and the judges, they're supposed to be set the guidelines and criteria. They're supposed to, like, if you get a girl like who has more conditioning in her back, who has more striations in her glutes, whose quads are bigger than it's supposed to be, then she shouldn't be placed in the top 5 or even the top 3. And this is one person I talk about quite frequently. Her
Yep.
physique is crazy, and that is Zama Benta. And Zama, she's on the way. I know I saw a post when she was on the way to Vegas. And if you look at her condition is just crazy. And this is supposed to be women's physique. And look at her shoulders and also her
Yeah.
traps. That's about as big as someone like maybe I would say Michaela Aycock, or I would say she's not that far from Angela Yo. I mean, that's just where she's number 3, and there's a possibility that she might be number 2 or even win the show.
I don't have any cash. Sorry about that.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
anybody got the thoughts?
Well, for me, it's not that the
Again,
criteria.
at the
It's
end of
not
the day,
the.
what we're looking at is
Go ahead, Art. You are
Well,
turning
for
first.
me, it's not the criteria is changing. They're not being
go ahead, Mark.
applied. They're not being applied. The criteria is supposedly set in stone. Like Bob said, you go over
Nope.
there and you take a look at it and you look at the criteria that they have. It's not being applied by the judges. It just simply isn't. I mean, the words. I'm even reading them right now, directly off of the NPC News Online page. Here are all the words that Bob was talking about that he put in the criteria. What you're not supposed to be as a women's physique competitor: ripped, shredded, peeled, striated, dry, diced, hard, vascular, grainy, massive, thick, dense, etc. Do words like ripped and shredded and peeled and striated describe Natalia? Describe Sarah? Do they describe? Yeah, it's like they're the criteria right there. They're not being applied by the judges. And then to show the inconsistency here, those are the written criteria. Then Sandy Williamson, you go on that page, it starts with a video, and the things that she's saying are in direct contradiction to the written criteria. So it's like you look at that situation, it's like, my God, if you didn't know any better about this and you look at it, it's like, of course people are going to be scratching their heads because they're just not consistent. A great example of that we've had this year, she just won the Daytona Pro and qualified
and you
for next year's Olympia. And
That's Elena Romero.
Elena Romero.
But and you can't blame the athlete because the athlete is only going by who the winners are.
Right, and Elena is an example of another of the inconsistency as well, because she just qualified. She insists on coming in really conditioned, and she's proven in the past that she can attain a high level of conditioning. But look at the shows. Look at the shows that she was in. Tupelo, and Tampa. She placed 3rd, and Paula Ranta placed fourth. Both of them were more conditioned than the first and second placings at both shows. So, but now Elena comes in ripped again. Here she is winning the show and going on to the Olympia next year. How more inconsistent can they possibly get?
Yep.
It's a picture right here. Pulled up. This is her glutes.
Yep.
That is
right. It's like
so instead of placing them, instead of putting them in that place, you should tell them why they're
right. See, look at that. Look at that picture of her back. If you'll scroll down in that picture in the middle, look at that. I mean, it's beautiful, no question. But again, the criteria says you're not supposed to be ripped, peeled, or striated. What is that? It's clear as a bell for all to see. Nobody is following the criteria. So the criteria is there. They're not following it. They're just deciding as they go along.
They're just picking and choosing what they want to judge. And then instead of just following the guidelines that's supposed to be purposely set, that's supposed to be the guidelines for the standard, for the division, they just keep changing like mid-horses. Like, you remember back in the day when you had the old Pony Express, where, you ride a horse till it's almost dead, and you jump onto another horse. And you ride that horse, you jump on another horse. That's what it is. It's just jumping from one horse to another. And, it's just, and I said some women, they complain about it, but the thing is,
exactly.
There's not much you can do if the judges don't listen to the competitors and they don't follow the old criteria that's set in stone. It's probably set in stone, these criteria, but I think it's set in sand, and just every time often just wipe it away when they want to change their mind.
Yeah. It's just a great example of that would be 2004. I probably mentioned this already. When they came out with the 20% rule, they said, okay, well, all the women bodybuilders are getting too big. We want to reduce their muscularity by 20%. That's 2004. 2005, Miss Olympia comes along. Yaxeni Oregon Garcia, one of the biggest, most muscular women on the planet, wins the title. According to the 20% rule, she should not have won. How does she get the biggest title there is if the 20% rule really was being applied? She couldn't.
Because the year before, Iris beat Linda, and Iris is the new champion. So she's supposed to come in as new champion, defend her title. Then she loses to Oxini, and then what happens, because she lost to Oxini, Iris had to step it up. So, and she came in, I think, a little softer.
Here's the thing. And Linda said that she was not willing to push herself. Linda said she was not willing to do that. And again, they kept making her champion after champion after champion after champion. And guess what? When you're the champion, why am I going to chase after the girl who in second or third and fourth place? I got to chase after Iris look, because that's the champion. And if I want to beat the champion, that's the look I got to beat. That's why everybody's chasing after Sarah and Natalia right now. They're chasing after that look because those two are the two top girls of the sport. So if those two girls are the two top girls of the sport, of course, that's the look that they're going to be chasing after, because that's how they're going to win. You're not going to win any other way, because until the judges put them out of the first and second place, you're always going to be chasing that look.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And like Art said, they made a prime example out of Iris when she had the hematomas on her glutes. So at the exact same time, if you're looking, you're scratching your head and says, well, why didn't Sarah win this year? Or why didn't Natalia win this year? The judges to walk over and tell them saying, again, we're changing. That's not the look we want. We need to dial this down. And maybe next year they come in softer and all the other girls come in. But until they do that, nothing's going to change.
I have a radical solution to that. That really does come out of science fiction. And it is quite simply this: take out the humans and bring in the machines to judge the show. Because and bear in mind, I'm serious when I say that. Because from what I see of technology, we could actually do that. We have the technology to actually that a machine could actually do this. So, and that's it comes from. I can explain it, but I'll just leave it at that. Is that I say right.
What? Go ahead.
Keith, go ahead.
No, I said the funny thing is, remember when The Rock said that he wanted to do something like that, to take it out of, to take the power out of the judge's hands, and everybody hated the idea. The Rock suggested that. Not even him, even Lee Thompson said something like that. When he was trying to create that new league, he was like, this should be a computer generated online voting thing. Like, it's kind of like a
Fade it out, Keith.
what's my favorite show that I watch on TV? The Voice, or American Idol, or So You Think You Can Dance. At the end of the day, if the people are paying the money and watching this shit, they should have an input.
Yeah, but the
How
thing
crazy
is, like,
would that be?
the thing is, they didn't want to put it in the
Because
hands
here's the
of
thing:
the.
I've listened to somebody like Steve says, "Well, if it's Steve said." Go ahead, George.
Well, what they didn't want to put it in the hands of the people because they feel like, especially like companies like IFB and the NPC, they might get like think about it. It might vote for somebody like not like maybe Zama Benta or somebody like Barbara Majan, a particular person they may not want as a champion. They might want they might want Sarah the champion because what she's doing. They might want Natalia champion because of her look because she's young, she has a great look to her. But then if the people say, you know what, I'm getting tired of because people can be fickle. And they say, like, I'm getting tired of Sarah, I'm getting tired of Natalia. Let me go with this girl here. So they might want to go with somebody new. And then, the idea is about, what represents their brand the best. And it may not be that person. They want somebody who they can sell and push. Think about if they did that with, like, think about it. There could be a chance that if they did that, then McKay Aycock could be Miss Olympia.
Well, it's like also Dorian Yates. When he was a judge, he even said that. He approached it mathematically. He didn't approach it according to personal sensibilities. Also, he had a short-lived Super League, which also, if you watched any of those episodes, what would be considered the pre-judging round, it was all measurements. Like they broke out the calipers and they measured your body. They measured your body density, and they approached it that way purely from a mathematical standpoint. I mean, it's so personal sensibility be damned. If you turn out to be the one with the lowest body fat, or you meet this certain criteria, and the machine declares, hey, this person is the highest probability, is the physique closest to that mathematically, that person wins. No personal sensibility involved, no subjectivity involved, because you're using math to do the judging. That's why I say that should be. That's why I say that should be considered, because the way that I see it, we could do that now. Just a question of whether or not they would want to step aside, which of course they probably wouldn't.
Like OJ, as Jay-Z said, best like this: men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And you put the numbers out and say you have somebody who has all the dimensions and all the figures and everything that works out that they are the person they want to choose to win that division. That's fair. But then you have some people complaining that, because people are complaining that machine taking jobs. Everybody's on the paranoid mindset that it's going to be like Terminator 2. It's like Skynet woke up and is taking over the world. But
dude, it's a bodybuilding show. They're not in charge of the nuclear arsenal or anything like that.
I know that, but how some people are paranoid about shit. They like when sometimes I go shopping. Sometimes if it's not too busy at the self checkout, I use self checkout. If it is the line self checkout, then I use the register with the person behind there, depending on how I'm feeling at the time. Which one's going to go faster? Which one takes time? Sometimes I might with self checkout. You always got to make sure you don't miss anything. And sometimes you make a mistake. You make sure you click some of a button and the person comes in and fix it. But sometimes it's like easier to go through the line with the register person. You just zap thing through, tell them, hey, that's not that, and then they can fix it. And but a lot of people, they're not too much computer savvy. That's the mindset of some people. They feel like if something like computer takes like the episode of Star Park said, they took my jobs. That's how the mindset of people when the machine comes in, it took my job. It didn't take your job. It's something that's just it's a process. the world is changing, it's evolving. You know,
What if it can do the job better?
that's the thing. Yeah,
What
it
if
could do
what
that.
if it can do it better? What if it can do it more accurately? And above all, the thing that we've been complaining about, what if it can do it across the board consistently? Because again, it'd be using mathematics. No matter where you go on this country, no matter where you go in the world, or for that matter, no matter where you go in the universe, 2 plus 2 is 4. That is never ever going to change, no matter where you are. And if you say 2 plus 2 is 5, guess what? You're wrong. And the machine's going to tell you you're wrong. And then if you have a temper tantrum about it, it's going to do two things. It's going to sit there and it's going to hum. And that's it. Because it's not going to care.
We got something from my man Les 2. I was going to go by his name. He says, in my humble opinion, I think, he says,
No, laugh my ass off.
laugh my ass off.
That's
Okay,
what
whatever.
he's saying.
He said, AI judges. And
It can happen.
yeah,
It
and
can happen.
This is from Money J. He says, show me a clip where they said that, and it's talking to two, you know, and also he says, two, let's face it, bro, Sarah Vigors was the one that started the extreme look, and the judges rewarded it back in 2020. Nobody to this extent was complaining about how extreme the women looked. Yeah. My man Kale's back, you know, he shout to him, you know, he came back. And, you know, we as fans, we look at this sport, it's evolved. Now, most people don't care that, you know, the women are getting a lot more bigger and more shredded, you know, especially if you're a fan of the sport. But, you know, the insiders, the business people, they don't want the women because this is the physique division posted, like Bob said, it's supposed to be watered down women's bodybuilding. I always called it watered down women's bodybuilding. That's why I wasn't a big fan of it at first. But, you know, if you have athletes that are changing, that's evolving, you know, you have some, and also some ladies say, we ask them, like, you know, Kale, you have done interviews with bodybuilders. Art, you had done one with bodybuilders, and I've done it. We ask them, you want to go up, you know, from physique to women's bodybuilding, and say, no, 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 no. But then if you look at yourself, you're not too far. You know, I keep pulling this out, how if you look like this is what that one picture I made that I got. It's a picture of, you know, we all know right now, you know, remember Ashley Jones was, you know, figure. And then she's competing with bodybuilding. And you remember, you know, Natalia was figure. And you have someone like, you know, Lavinia, who was physique, but now women's bodybuilding. These are three young women whose bodies have changed and evolved over time. There's a possibility. I know she wouldn't want to do it. Natalia could go up to women's bodybuilding. What do you think? If she did that, you think she'd place well?
No. Even though I think she's got a great physique, excuse me, she doesn't, I don't think, have the mass to be able to go as high or like get one of the top placings. Also, you look at her placings where she is in women's physique. Why would she do that? I mean, if you're winning pro show after pro show after pro show like she did, and then also winning the Miss Olympia, the highest title there is, why would you move on? That wouldn't make sense. I mean, if you were like 15th or 16th place, which is what Natalia was as a figure competitor, and then when she makes the change, she's now one of the biggest competitors in the world. Why would she move?
Okay, man, you gotta turn off the video you're watching because we're getting the echo back. So that's why I put you on mute. So, you know. So I gotta put you, okay? Yeah, you're on. Kale, either put on your headphones or mute the video because I hear myself in the. Put on your headphones or mute the video because I hear myself in the. I'm just put on mute. Okay. Yeah, I gotta mute him. So yeah, you know, it makes sense for say where she's at because she possibly can win a title again. Or, like I said again, you know, it's about the other athletes in the division where they are like even I hear Anne-Marie Moon. I mean, she's in interviews with Female Body Challenge. Say, hey, you think about moving up? She says no, because she feel like. But if you look at her now, she hasn't competed this year because she had to deal with injury, her knee, and surgery. But is other women like I think I heard that Emily Schubert's moving up, but it's not as many shows for women's bodybuilding as compared to physique. There's at least this year over 20 shows, and nearly half of them or most of them are already qualified for this Olympia, and there's at least 3 or 4 more for next year. We have here my man, Raheem Hamilton says all sports are going out of the way the dodo bird. Not all,
What?
Yeah.
How does he come to that with a multi-billion-dollar business, if not in the trillions of dollars that they make every year? Because you consider all the like in Major League Football, it's like they're getting multi-million-dollar salaries just for the competitors. That's not including all the other revenue that they bring in for merchandise or for the gates at stadiums and such. What do you mean all sports are going the way of the dodo? They're so phenomenally they're so phenomenally financially successful. So how can he say all sports?
Because he likes to start shit. He's still he thinks his girl's gonna come next year and be winning the Olympia. We all know why you're a fan of hers.
Yeah. Still waiting on the picture of the Bears.
We all
waiting on that. Yep.
He is picking on Keith. Says Keith has to let go of the Obama Wi-Fi. Well, he's not here right now. He stepped out. I think he's might be. I think he's supposed to be might be attending like a game. I think his daughter's competing today. So shout out to Keith. He will catch up with him next week. But and it's just as I said again, the criteria is it's supposed to be the criteria set when they created this division. As you remember,
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You hear echo?
No.
I don't hear the echo.
Okay.
Okay, because we had to clean up and I don't like But as he said like Bob, he helped establish the division, and also your point about Betty Pariso. And one thing about Betty Pariso, you remember when she was competing, they were saying she wasn't scoring so well. And what she had to do was she had to do a little something lively. That's when she started doing like the crab pose. And that helped her, better. And Betty had women's bodybuilding at her shows, but now she don't have either physique or women's bodybuilding at her shows. I don't think like she used to have a show in Texas. They had women's physique and women's bodybuilding. She had a show in I think it was the what was the show she used to have? It was the Night of Champions. I remember a friend of mine told me how they complained about some things going on and then and then next thing you know, they cut it out from that show. And then Linda, Bev Francis, she pushed out the division. And then Bev, she went back and she brought it back. Because one thing is Bev was one of the women who changed the sport of women's bodybuilding. But it's always gonna be a back and forth about what they want. What's the criteria? What's popular? Who's this? Who's that? And maybe as fans from the outside looking in, we like what we like. But if the judges and the higher ups don't stick with it, then what you expect, especially for the competitors. If you're awarding somebody who comes in extra shredded, who has all the looks of maybe like a small version of female bodybuilder, then they're going to chase after that. And then some women's genetics are kind of, they might just get bigger. It happens like with football, how it evolved. This is from my man, Raheem. He's always talking shit. He says, 2 + 2 is 25. He has nothing else to do.
I guess not. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this is from 2 again. He says, he's talking to Monday. He says, maybe not as much complaining as when Sarah won in 2020, but I definitely remember Julianne talking about how she didn't like the direction women's physique was going, and she was like the 2017. That's why she dropped out. Also, this is from, his guest is Unique. got too muscular. Some people were saying she should compete against Andrea Shaw. Nah. Yeah, I don't think.
Well,
And, you know,
I'm just going to disagree with him when he talked about Juliana. I'm going to respectfully disagree with him because if you want a competitor that will show you what they originally were looking for, it'd be Jillian Revel because she's one of the first WPD competitors to win a pro show. I'm trying to remember which one it was because Dana is the first pro, but also the first Miss Olympia. But Jillian was one of the first women to win a pro show. And then the New York Pro came along with Juliana. Juliana was way more muscular than Jillian was. So, and then, because I think it was even Tina who said the East Coast likes muscular girls. They like muscle. And that's why she got the top spot. And people were saying from that point on, like Keith was saying, everybody tried to copy Juliana, because then she went on to win 4 Miss Olympias, and she was like the dominant competitor, but she was way more muscular. So it's like, and it gets back to the question of the judging. He said, you're saying that you want this, but then somebody comes along that doesn't meet the criteria, and you give them the highest award possible? Why? It just throws the whole thing into confusion.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, you look at some, like, I think you just saw my man Glenn interview Danny Reardon, and she was another level. I mean, she was a top 5 competitor in the last 2 or 3 Miss Olympias in physique before she dropped out. Or you look at right now who's competing at the Olympia, who had the Olympia almost in 5 years, Sharonica Hinton. That's why she did so well at New York, because she had that look that really, I think, was a throwback.
Right, it was.
But then she didn't do as well at. I think she was 3rd or 4th at the Texas Pro, and then, you know, it's just the judging is just, it's again subjective, you know, and you got to think about Zama Benta, who won the show, you know, and it's just like I said, if you got somebody like that coming into a show where it's possible Olympic qualification, and she takes that spot, it's unfair. You're number 2, so you're number 2. You're number 3. You're right behind Natalia Coelho. You're not just a step behind, Sarah Vilgas. It's just unfair to the other competitors, because you got to think about it. You got some people women coming here like who just maybe was hoping for a shot. And I mentioned again, Judy Feldman. She wasn't in her best condition. I think that she got a little too high. I remember at the Olympia in 2022 how I'm a fan of Helen Trevino. I think she has a great physique. She just wasn't her top best condition like she was the past 2 Miss Olympias, because, you know, she had to deal with shoulder injury. And I felt like someone like Bronka Djokovic, she should have got 3rd. Not Hella. No offense to Hella, but Hella should have got maybe 4th or 5th. And then, you know, we look at, good example is Michaela Aycock, how her styration is just crazy. She comes in buff, top condition, and you think she should place a little higher. She's not too far from, if you look at it, some like Angela Yo, she should have been top 3, if not top 4. But I think she took 6th that show, because Raheem's girl, you know, she was 5th. Here, this is from a man, Money J says, George, I don't know about Angela Yo and Michaela Aycock, bro, but they are a different breed of women compared to Zama Benta. But like I said, not too much far from the breed, because, you know, Zama did compete in bodybuilding for a minute, and she took 3rd at Germania Muscle Fest, and that was in 2022. You know, there's different breeds, but then when the breeds start looking so much alike, like if you look at a black lab and a golden retriever, they're pretty much, you know, different breeds, but they're pretty much within the same family. If you look at what's another animal that looks almost like the other? I'm thinking I like to watch wildcats a lot. You look at a porpoise and a dolphin, you know, they have different looks, but they're within that same, if you don't, if you, like for the naked eye, a porpoise and a dolphin looks the same. But like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm a fan.
Or brown bears versus black bears.
Yeah, yeah. You look at grizzly bears versus black bears.
Right.
You look at anything's gonna look different unless you understand and know it. And then some things just look like it's just pretty much kind of just meshing together. Now, would Zama do well if she went up to women's bodybuilding? I think she would. I doubt
She's
she
got to.
will.
She's got to get way more conditioned though. If she's going to, she's got to get to the level of Angela or Michaela in order to be able to get a top spot, because that's one of the things that they're going to look for in bodybuilding is more conditioning. So, I mean, once you get to open women's bodybuilding, I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to conditioning. But that's what she would have to do, is get her conditioning down.
Oh, I got a correction here. I got a name. He says, my name is Little Simba too, by the way. Okay, thank you, because I just, I didn't know how you spell it. It looked kind of crazy. So Little Simba, thank you for letting me know that, because sometimes
What happened to Little Simba 1? Are we talking about the Lion King Little Simba? Because if we don't, okay, we understand how that worked. But if this is a different Little Simba, what happened to Little Simba 1?
What happened to Big Mufasa 2? Simba, rest in peace, the late James L. Jones. Great character.
I know.
Actor,
Yeah.
Great. We just saw that we lost another trans person. Whitney Houston's mother passed away. Rest in peace to her. I mean.
You sent me one not too long ago. Forgive me, I'm trying to remember his name, but he was a great actor.
James Olmos.
Yes. Well, he was Good Times. Is the show that he was on? Yeah. He's a great actor. He was great actor.
They didn't originally, if you didn't know this, Norman Lear didn't want to have a black father for that show, but Esther Rose says she wasn't going to be a stereotypical black single mother. Like, remember, one of the first shows that had a black single mother was Julia. That's with the late Diane Carroll, and her husband died in I think it was Vietnam, and was Vietnam or Korea, one of the two, and then she had to fight to get John Olmos on that series, and because there was contention between the writers and him, and they killed him off, and then the show went in another direction, because one year Esther was gone. You didn't see Miss Role for a good while, for a whole year. It was really focused a lot on Jimmy Walker, and some people felt like it was clown too much with him. But she came back and they finished up the series. Now he's with his Flo in heaven, and shouts to him. But yeah, this is from Little Simba 2. Says, you watch Joker 2, George? No, I know. I never liked the first Joker, so that's, like I said again, that's not my Joker.
I am shocked with what they did with it.
Yeah,
I really am.
It's just not very, because they didn't. It was supposed to be.
I heard it was trash so far. I don't know. They didn't even come out right. I heard it was trash.
It came out.
Oh yeah, it came out last weekend.
Yeah, it came out worldwide last weekend.
But I heard it was trash. It wasn't that good.
It got hammered over the weekend.
Yeah.
Not just from the critics, but also the fans.
Yeah.
So, because it flopped. They're calling it now a flop because it was like a $200 million budget and it only got like 40 million worldwide for its first weekend, because they made it a musical.
Yeah.
First they made it a musical, and then Harley Quinn. It's like, the way that I saw it is that Harley Quinn is not at all the way she's supposed to be in the comics, or they didn't do it at all correctly, the way that it was according to the source material. I'm like, what are you guys thinking?
You seen it, Jeremy?
I saw. I didn't actually see the movie, but I've seen clips of it.
Yeah.
And I watched those, and I'm like, what the hell did they do with this?
Yeah.
Well, so it's supposed to be, this version is supposed to be an Elseworlds version, because it's a different. Because it was separate from the one when they had the DCU. You have Ben Affleck as Batman. It was supposed to be separate storyline with different versions of Joker. I remember saying at the end, they're supposed to have that version of Joker was killed by supposedly the Heath Ledger version, you know, I think that's the reason why they decided. I don't know why they want to do a sequel, and then it's just it's like
they deported they separated so much from the original one. It's like from the one I understand, it's like because I also read the synopsis of the movie over on Wikipedia, and just the way that they took her, it's like people are expecting Harley Quinn to be a particular way.
Yeah,
and they went so far away from the source material when it came to her. I think that's one of the reasons why. It's like who is
when they
this
do
person?
that, it's not good. When they do that type of stuff, it's not good. It's not going to be a good flick.
Like if people anything you know about Harley Quinn, that character was created in Batman the Animated Series, and it got so popular, DC put it into the comics. And her story was she was a psychologist. She was she worked at Arkham. That's where she met the Joker, and she was a very intelligent woman. But because the Joker infected her with his madness, she that's her pudding. That's how come she got involved with him. She's she's now you watch the comics, you read the comics. She's more of an anti-hero now because especially with she helps out Batman now and then. She's part of the adjacently to the Bat family.
Suicide Squad as well.
Yeah.
So she actually tries to be a anti-hero that way. So
yeah, they had that movie come out, and it's just that wasn't too good. The Birds of Prey.
No, it wasn't that good.
Some of that. I seen some of it. I didn't like it.
And they're supposed to be working out trying to get a new Batman because James Gunn is going for a different direction for this version. The new
well, they're gonna have the Superman. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's right. Because they're supposed to cancel the Superman series, Lois and Clark, because they said they didn't want two Supermans within the same universe in a way. Even though it's a TV show, different style of Superman. This guy, you remember he was on that Teen Wolf TV show who played Superman.
Yeah,
he just don't, to me, don't look like Superman. They could have. He's a little bit too not like. You think of Superman, you think of Christopher Reeves. That's always been Superman. When Dean Cain plays Superman, I'm going to be a little prejudiced about it. I say he looks to the admiration. Maybe I sound like a racist. Maybe I am, but it just wasn't Superman for me. Now. Brandon Routh was decent, but they just didn't give him the right move and the right script. Henry Cavill, one problem was that they got the wrong person to play Batman. Ben Affleck's too short, too tall for Batman. Superman should never be shorter than Batman. That's just my,
I thought Ben Affleck was cool. I thought he wasn't a bad Batman.
Yeah, I didn't like
I thought it was decent.
I like Christian Bale. I think someone who could have kept on being good Batman before she got it was Val Kilmer. I think if he didn't get messed up, we wouldn't have George Clooney's Batman. That was disappointing. But
that's Joel Schumacher's thought. Joel Schumacher's fault. His fault for taking it that way.
Well, rest in peace. He's gone now. This is from a man. He's Little Simba. He says, I like the Joker 1. Yeah. And
it was a great movie. That was a great movie.
It was decent. I see some of it.
Yeah. He said
it ain't his Keith Ledger. That's why he's saying it's all right.
Yes. Because he took his version of Joker and he went another direction. And he just took it and he just made him just really
and that
close.
killed him. That shit killed him.
I know it killed him, but
that shit killed him.
He had issues already, but it's just that it was just so in depth. That's what made Batman Dark Knight so great. It's rare when the sequel is better than the first movie. I gotta give him that.
Right.
This is from my man Raheem. He says, "A grizzly bear can destroy a black bear." It's facts, yeah. But your girl, she wrestled with bears.
I'm not gonna lie, that's corny. I don't even know what the hell y'all be talking about with the grizzly bears.
Okay,
y'all be losing me.
Raheem, learn to spell, because that's not how you spell grizzly. You said Grizzlies. That's not how you pronounce it.
That's Vancouver. You know, aren't they gone now? I think they got rid of the Grizzlies. I think they moved someplace and changed
Oh
the name.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Vancouver. They changed it. We changed their name. That's been like 10 years or more ago.
Mm.
This is from Rahi, who's expert on bears. Now, a polar bear can give a grizzly bear a good fight. Yeah,
You're still not spelling it right. Raheem, go look up a dictionary. Find out how you spell grizzly, because that's not how you pronounce it.
So like that Lucas Cross said, you see, fight help the bear. So that's how, But we're not gonna be too much of us, fellas. There's something, as a content maker on bodybuilder, I want to see the division get opportunities, and it's not. It seems like it's sad that this division is not getting a lot of respect. A while back, we had a discussion where we would like to see more shows from women's bodybuilding, and we was hoping. As a while back, I remember I saw a picture of Jake Wood at the Pittsburgh Pro. As you know, they have the Pittsburgh Pros going around, and I thought maybe, possibly, you might get women's bodybuilding in Pittsburgh, because there's a lot of women who love to do a show, especially someone like, Tina said she would love to do a show close to the East. It's only so few shows like New York, Tampa, Atlanta. I think Chicago has Midwest, and then the rest are kind of a couple in Canada and the rest overseas. It'd be great to have another show in the West, in the East. I mean, so I was talking. I thought this was going to happen, but someone sent me this a while back. And
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, George, you were talking about this on your live stream a while back. So I said, you know what, this is just some bullshit. So we're gonna pull this up.
IFBB Pro League Vice President, and today I'm here with some breaking news about our NPC natural competitions. This goes for our NPC USA athletes.
That's the wrong one. Wait a minute. It should be.
I think it's
Hi
near
everyone. Tyler Mannion here. NPC and IFBB.
Wait a minute.
Same one.
Actually, I think it's somewhere here. No, this is not it. Because I thought you have it on here. Wait a minute. This might be it.
That's it.
Hi everyone. Tyler Mannion here, NPC and IFBB Pro League Vice President. And I'm here with our first major announcement for the Pittsburgh Power and Fitness Festival, along with the Pittsburgh Pro for next year. And the major announcement is, for the first time ever, we are bringing open men's bodybuilding to the Pittsburgh Pro. And not only are we bringing it for the first time ever, but we're bringing it with some major prize money behind it. A total of $200,000 will be awarded for this division. $100,000 will be going to the winner. Second place, 50, third, 25, fourth, 15, and fifth, 10. So I'm insanely excited about this. I want to give a special shout out to our two presenting sponsors, New Tech and Axe and Sledge. Without them, bringing open men's bodybuilding with this kind of prize money would not be possible. So thank you guys for the support. It really means a lot for us.
I'm going to say this. Fuck that. I'm going to straight up say fuck that.
Well, the thing is, though, he says right there in the caption, he said, that's the first of many announcements. So it maybe something may come along in the future. So we're hoping. When I saw that, I was like, you're right, though. I mean, if that's the one and only major change that they do, is just that. It's just a repaint of the Arnold. Yeah. That's all it is.
You come up with $200,000. $200,000. You can't tell me you can't break it down and take that first $100,000 and break it among the men's division. Maybe like you could cut out like, okay, $50,000 can go to the women's division, and you have like at least still enough. Like, okay, let's say $75,000 for first place, and you break it down to, and that could work. But we all know Jim Mannion does not give a rat's ass about women's bodybuilding. His son, right now he's the family's under prosecution, especially for sexual abuse and stuff like that. Especially with some bikini competitors who have been coming out. his grandson is supposed to be the heir apparent because JM doesn't have no interest in being in the business. He like to take pictures, but it's just me as a fan. I was hoping now with this new show, they try to compete with the Arnold. I would think they would do it. That's why Keith was talking about in our last live stream how he said that Jessica and what's the face from Wings of Strength were at the Legion show. So I hope that maybe Jake would do this, or we can get some people to back him up. And that's it again, guys out there. I know you guys are fans. You love this division. You love women's bodybuilding. You want to see more shows for it because the list is going to come out for the next season in January. And sometimes it's not going to be the full list. Some shows are going to drop. Some shows are going to change. Whatever. But if there's enough of you out there who want to see women's bodybuilding get the opportunity, a chance, put your money where your mouth is. And his thing is, I know people are going to be talking about why you like, fuck them. Straight out, I'm going to say it like that. Do it because you want to see this vision, get the opportunities. We would love to see, if it wasn't for like this, we would love to see at least maybe 20 women at the Olympia for Miss Olympia. One problem is we do have one competitor who did 2 shows for Olympic qualifications, which she shouldn't have done. She should have been happy with the qualifications she already got. And we have another competitor who doesn't even have a visa compete. It should have been 16 ladies, but cut it down to 14. Better than it was last year. It was only 10 because remember Christina Mendoza dropped out because she was going through something, and I think someone else dropped out too. I can't remember. Christine dropped out, and I think another person. Then somebody dropped out too. If I remember, it was supposed to be at least 12, but it went down to 10. Hella dropped out. So but this is better than it was last year. Where it was only 10 ladies. About we have at least 14. But we would love to see at least a nice round number of 20. So promoters out there, when you have shows like, you only have one division like men's class, something like that, somebody step up to that promoter, put up the money, prize money if you can, and say you can add women's bodybuilding to that show. Also, the guy we mentioned who's in a podium, talk to him. He said he wants $20,000. Come up with $40,000 to cover the prizes fee. Reach out to someone like Iris Kyle. Say, hey, Iris, want to be part of this? If Win Sprint take over, then Linda Murray. You can make a turn with Linda Murray. That is like a classic Linda Murray look back when she was competing. There's a lot to this. Oh, we have here a comment. This is from man Lil Simba, fan of you. Thank you. Says, I agree. I do agree. Heath is the best Joker. Yeah, I think Heath, Jack. Then Mark Hamill, he was the voice of the Joker. Cesar Romero, then Joaquin, and at the bottom you got to put Jared Leto. I forget about him, but that's why he became Morbius, and that was a bad movie for him too. Jared, he can't do superhero movies. Anti-heroes, villains, he can't do them.
Mm-hmm.
This is from
why he was even in the movie with Margot, I have no idea why he was even in Suicide Squad. I don't know.
They needed a Joker, and they just I don't know. John Amos was in Coming to America 2, and also Die Hard 2. And also was in Coming to America 2. Also, he reprised his role as and this is one thing about Coming to America. This is where I felt
Mr.
like
McDowell.
The mistake they made with that one was they could have got. Instead of having Raheem get his son out of legitimately, it should have given him a son with Lisa. That would have kind of like do like with his storyline with how he left home to go to America and find a wife. It could have did a little better when it was just I don't know. They said something they wanted to get Michael B. Jordan to play Raheem's son, but I think Jay Farrell would have been better. Jay could do the impersonations a lot better. He can disguise himself. Get another comic to play like Arsenio's son and be his best friend and go with him to America. They could have done a little better. Even brought back Eric Asal, who you remember he was in the first movie. That's just so close. He'd be like an older version. He's married to Lisa's sister.
Yeah, I'm a child of the '70s, and unabashedly so. So I will always remember him for good times. That'll always be what I remember him for. Loved the show, and they had great chemistry together. That's why I was so popular.
And it really touches because what my dad, him and my mother were good. Even though they were together for separately, they were together for when I was growing up as a kid, but they went in their own ways. Even though my dad lived in New Jersey, my mom was out here with us. But that was a good example. People didn't want to think that people can struggle with two parents in the house. You can't. Roseanne's a good example of that. You had two parents in the house with three kids. You look at. I know people say that they like the Cosby Show, but that was a good example of where you had a successful doctor, his wife was a lawyer, and they had 5 kids. And it was a different family. A lot of people say they didn't believe that, but there's people like that. There are plenty of people like the Huxtables. And or you go like the top 5 great TV black dads: James Evans, Uncle Phil, George Jefferson, Fred Sanford,
Carl Winslow.
Yep. Yep. And Sanford's up there quite a bit for me. So because I love Red Fox, I absolutely love the man.
Yeah,
I loved that show.
Yeah, you big dummy. He really contributed. He really helped his friends.
Oh God!
Watch this video with him. When Pat Mooney was talking about how he was about, he needs some money. He went to Fred. He went to Red and said, "Red, I'm say, don't worry about it. Just drive a check, give it to him that." But the problem was that he should have been changing his money. You're supposed to keep your money. Here, this is from a man. This is Laura. Has seen Laura for about ever. It says, "I'll be at the Olympia. Any plans to go? My pleasure to be live on your YouTube at last." Well, I wish I could go. I was talking with Live Riot Female Body Channel. A hurricane's coming up. That's Milton. He may not be able to go because he's been invited as a press correspondent for the Olympia. He may not be able to go because Milton's about to hit in his area. I told him try to go early. He says he's worried about his family. I understand, but if you need to stay and take care of your family, that's good. But if it's not too bad, this is maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity. I would take it. Florida gets hurricanes about every day. I know. Hurricanes is coming. I think it's going to diminish by the time it gets through Florida. Let's hope it's not too bad. But I know this is an opportunity, a lifetime, brother. I think I would take it. I mean, this is me. I don't have no kids. My mom's gone and everybody else is grown. But Laura, brother, I hope you have a good time. If you can, Laura, you still follow me on IG. Send me some pictures. I post them on my here, also on my IG and also on my YouTube channel. Just let somebody know. Or Laura, if you ever want to, come on, because Sunday I'm going to do this. I'm going to have 2 shows. Sunday we're going to do our usually we do at the end of the Sunday, the last Sunday of the month. I thought, okay, we're going to do an open table discussion about the Olympia. I'm gonna have. I hope to have Eunice on. Eunice was supposed to be at there, but some things are going on with her family that she can't make it. So JoJo's gonna be doing the Bad Rap booth. So go check out the Bad Rap booth if you're going to be there, Lars. JoJo's gonna be there for Bad Rap, and also we'll talk about that experience. And also we're going to talk about it on MuscleTalk Monday. So we'll have 2 shows, one for Sunday and one for Monday, and we're going to talk about because I'm going to watch it. I know some couple of ladies who are competing in the amateur divisions. I'm gonna check them out, see how you do it. One lady's competing in women's bodybuilding, one competing in wellness. And some ladies who I've reached out to maybe after the show, maybe come on again. Some ladies who have done interviews and competed in the show, Marika Jones, shout out to Marika Jones. Shout out to Marianne Van Gecke. Shout out to Natalie Ray Wolf. Shout out to Stephanie Jones. Also to Sandra. I hate to say it. I don't want to miss her last name. And who else? I've done an interview who's doing this interview, who's doing the Olympia. Quite a few ladies who I've done an interview with who's doing this Olympia. So I wish them best of luck.
Yeah, don't forget if he is going. Remember, Meet the Olympians, which is like Thursday. So if you want to meet these ladies, if you want to meet the likes of Andrea Shaw or Angela Yao or Ashley Jones or any of them, they'll be there. They'll be there. They will sign autographs for you, pose for you, whole 9 yards. So don't forget about that too. So.
Yeah. Go take advantage of that. I mean, maybe someday, maybe to bring the Olympia back to Orlando, which is a lot closer for me, than go all the way to Arizona. I catch a train, or I might fly. I'm still debating on the flight. He wants to fly me out. I might do it one day. I might, I might ask my sister to put something in my in my drink before I leave, and then just put me on the plane like Mr. T. Shout out to man Lar. He says, yes, good idea. Yeah. So like I said, Lar, if you are interested, if you want to come on for Must Talk Monday after Olympia, talk about your experience, and you have pictures that you want to share and send, I'll post them on here. I'll make sure I tag you on my IG, and also, and I appreciate you for anything, because like I said, I would love to be there. I would love to meet Andrea. I mean, I still have this, and I still have this. It's going. Can you believe it's going to be years since I had this?
We having Andrea dreams, George.
Yes. I'd be lying if I say I didn't, but I think she's the one way you say. So, folks, I appreciate y'all for coming through. And we have this is a great discussion. Shout out to our man, Jeremy for coming through. Shout out to my brother Big Keith. Shout out to KL here. All you who are here as guests, Lil Simba, Money J, Lar, Balls Deep. We appreciate y'all support. Can't forget Raheem Hamilton. You spell Grizzly better and tell us where's the bear. So, but thank you all for coming through. Appreciate y'all. The Olympia is going to be starting. The amateur is starting tomorrow, so you want to check that out, because those ladies need support too. You might have a competitor that watch that. I might watch because I got to do stuff in the morning, and then the show don't come on till later that afternoon for me here in the West. If you like Westerners who live in the West Coast. It's going to be like, I think, 3 hours difference. And the main show is going to be on Friday, which will be women's physique, women's bodybuilding, and the other divisions. And then Sunday, that's it. I don't care about Sunday, because it's it's just men's classic, and who cares? Yeah, men's open, who cares?
Well, thank you, George, for having a great discussion as always. I'm going to be heading out, so. Good to see both of you. So I'll hopefully get to see you next week. So
all right, you're welcome as guests as always, brother, and thank you for coming through. All right. Anyway, folks, shout out to my man, Jeremy, for coming through. Appreciate his thoughts and his opinion. I hope things going well with him. Shout out to man KL here for coming through, and give his thoughts, and you had a great interview. The lady he talked to she's a nice lady. Seemed like she's very long-winded.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, you noticed that, huh?
Yeah, I noticed that. Sometimes I've got some of those long-windeds, but sometimes you gotta wait and just get in just the right time when you want to say something. But generally, I have seen some ladies who, like, I think one woman I think that she barely maybe say maybe more than a paragraph. Was
Big
like
Jan, right?
Yeah, Big Jan. I mean, her English not as good. She's from Thailand.
Yeah.
But but I had quite a few. I think that one Eva Guzman, that was one that she really talked. She did. But like I said, I enjoy talking to these ladies. I got interview tomorrow with Lotta. She's been out here before. Right. We had her. We're gonna talk about her experience. Making her pro debut this year, and also this is one. If you saw it, I got an interview with a wellness competitor.
Who's that? I think I seen it. I'm not sure. I think I seen it.
Not an amateur, a pro.
So, a pro?
I've been interviewing a couple of girls who do wellness as amateurs, but I have myself a bona fide IFBB.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
I didn't want to get I had Jada on, but she's now she switched over, but but actual bona fide competitive pro. Wellness pro. She was.
Yeah, I know it's not easy to get those pros wellness chicks.
Yeah, next to the key, it's about as hard. But I think it's a lot easier to get the more older masters competitors than it is to get the more younger ones, because they're usually up in the area here. But the masters are more open. But I hope maybe in the future I get some more next year, and and love to get some more women out here to talk. It's gonna be, we might get a little pickup because the season's wearing down. Most ladies go start getting into prep. And start working out for the next year, so we might get a little pickup. You've been busy, you got some pickups. I see you got a couple of interviews coming up.
Yeah, a little something.
Listen, keep doing your work, brother. Keep doing it. So, folks, as I said again, I appreciate y'all coming through. Shout out to my man Jeremy. Shout out to my big brother, Mr. Big Keith. Good luck to him. Can't wait to he compete next year. And also shout out to all who watch this video. And so again, the Olympia is going to be, if you, like I said, on the West Coast, it will start 3:00 our time, 9 o'clock their time. Then the prejudges is going to be 6:00. On Friday, their time, which is going to be Pacific time, 9:00 our time. Whew, that means I'm going to have to stay up real late. I mean, I really have to. I want to see how the outcome is because I root for my girl. I'm rooting for her. I think she's going to keep her title. I know Angela looked really good at Arizona at the Rising Phoenix, but as I said, when Andrea's on, she's on. She's just off for this show. But when it comes to Olympia, she's always in the best top condition.
Okay.
So yeah. So folks, thank you for coming through. Appreciate your time and the best of luck to you. This is man always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I am out. Have a good evening, good night, and good morning.